Okay, here's a quick demo of our Arduino setup for Arts and Computing in NYC class. So here you see the Arduino IDE. We have a short bit of code. This is the whole thing. It's similar to processing, where we have this initial loop function called setup, and then we have a loop function. Loop function is sort of similar to the draw function. And what's going to happen here is we're going to read a sensor value, we're going to scale that sensor value, and then we're going to output the sensor value to the serial line. Now let's take a quick look at the processing code. Processing code, again, we have our setup and our draw loop. What we're going to do here is connect to the serial port that the Arduino is going to write to, and we're going to draw. We've got some stuff that's going to pull, some code that's going to pull the value off the serial line that's being sent from the Arduino, and we're going to use that value that we extract to draw a rectangle. Let's take a quick look at what this looks like. So here we've got our little rectangle thing, and if I touch the sensor, you can see that the sensor is going to change. The rectangle is going to change. Just to show you what I'm doing, I've got a little pressure sensor that I've built here connected to the Arduino, and as I squeeze this, I'm getting the change in the value of this rectangle here. Okay, so let's just look a little bit more closely at how this works. We can see we're filling the background with 0, which is going to be our black background. Then we choose a new fill color, and that fill color is going to be the value, except the second time it's going to be 255 minus the value. Recall that our values here can be between 0 and 255 to select a color. And then we're going to draw a rectangle, and the rectangle is going to start at position 50-50, and it's going to grow to a size that depends on the value. Now this bit here that will take the value from the Arduino, you don't need to worry about how this works, just copy and paste it. If you're a computer science major, you should be able to read this and figure out what's going on. But if you're not, no worries, just copy and paste, and this will always be the same bit of code up here to get you your sensor value. Now, one thing that's important, let's take another look at our Arduino code. In our Arduino code, we're going to read in a sensor value. Now, that sensor value is not going to be the same one that we're printing out. So I'm going to change my print line here. I'm going to change it to, rather than outputting the final output value that we're going to get in a second, let's just print the raw value that we were reading from the sensor. So I'm going to click upload. Now in order to upload, what I needed to do was go to Tools, Port, and select the correct port that appears when I plug in my Arduino. And I needed to select the correct board for the Arduino. In this case, it was an Arduino Uno. I click upload, it uploads the code to the device, and now it's actually running. If I open up this serial monitor, I can see the values that are being outputted. So right now it looks like we're outputting 339, 340, and if I squeeze, I'm going to squeeze right now, and you'll see the values go up to, can we get it to 350, 353? And I'll release, and the values go back down to 340 or so. So what you'll notice is the values range from about 340 to 350. So what I did is I said, well, I know I want to remap the values from 340 to 350 to the range 0 to 255. So that means that if I get a 335, I should output a 0. And if I get 355, I should get a 255 out. And if I have something in the middle, it will be something in the middle between 0 and 255. So this just lets us scale the range of values that we're reading off of the Arduino into a range that's going to be appropriate for the processing sketch to read. In fact, the Arduino can read values between 0 and 1023, but depending on the sensor that you've selected and the way you've set it up, you may not get that full range. So instead, we're going to use 335 and 355, which we determined experimentally by using the serial monitor. Now let's comment this back out, and what we really want to print out on the serial.println, and this is how we communicate to the processing sketch. We're going to serial.println the output value, and again, our processing sketch is going to be listening. Again, it doesn't matter exactly how this works, but it's going to be listening for the same, on that same serial port for the messages that the Arduino is sending. And then when we click run, we're going to get our little box here that we can change. Now it's all purple because you'll notice down here, I forgot to re-upload the code. So right now we're sending values that are 340 or so. And if I squeeze it, then we get values up to 350, but that's the wrong range. We need a range between 0 and 255. Let's stop this. We'll go back to our code here. We'll notice that I've changed this back, and now I want to upload again. I'm going to upload my code to my Arduino. It says it's uploading. Now it's done uploading. I'll switch back to processing. I'll hit play. Boom. Play. And now we get a box that's the right size, and as I squeeze, I can turn it purple. And just, to see again, this is our sensor here, and as I squeeze, I'm getting a higher value. Now, another thing to point out, the way I've built this circuit here, you can see this little LED. This LED is going to light up more the more that I squeeze. It's not very much. I really got to squeeze pretty hard, but you can see that red one lighting up just a little bit as I squeeze this pressure sensor. That's the basic idea of how we're going to use our pressure sensors in with processing.